I'm Jonathan. I'm 48 years old.
So Jonathan, tell me what you think what you think people's first impression of you is.
Let's see. I think people see me as a friendly person. I mean, I would hope so. I try to transmit a warmth and a understanding. A lot of times, even when strangers come up to me, I've been told that I seem like a kind person. So kind and compassionate. So I'm hoping that's what people's first impression of me is.
Awesome. And what's your profession?
I am a psychiatrist.
I would hope that you have a warm impression. So tell me a little bit about where you're from and kind of growing up and how things came to be to LA.
So I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, from a west suburb called Wheaton. I went to school in the Chicago area, went to college at University of Illinois. Then I came back to Chicago for medical school. And then for my residency program, I matched out at UCLA. So that's how I ended up moving out to Los Angeles. And I've been here ever since. So since 97.
And you had a big event this weekend.
I did. I got married on Saturday.
Very exciting. Very exciting. So tell us a little bit about that.
I got married to Al, who's, we've been together for over 8 years now. And we were engaged for over 2 years. So we've been planning the wedding now for a good year plus now. And the wedding was amazing. It was so much better than I ever expected. Al and I, I'm gonna start crying, but in his vows, he talked about that at one point he had asked me if I ever thought I would get married, and I really didn't. Growing up gay before gay marriage was even legal, it was just something I kind of counted out as something that I would never have. And I had always dreamed of getting married and having all my family and friends around me. And when, I told people that I was engaged and sent out the save the dates, I was amazed at how many family members traveled across the country to come to my wedding and celebrate in our day. It was kind of a dream come true. It was really special, and everything. It wasn't perfect, but everything turned out great. It's like looking back on it, it was like it couldn't have been any better. Yes, like certain minor details maybe didn't come off exactly as you wanted them to, but in the end, everyone loved the ceremony and the reception, and we had a great dinner the night before for the family, and then we had a barbecue the day after, and it was just incredible. My parents just left. I got a call from text from my dad. Maybe you should call Mom. She hasn't heard from you since Sunday. And I'm like, oh my God, I went back to work yesterday. I thought they already left town. But it's apparently, no, they're leaving now from LAX. But I haven't been in touch for 2 days. So
you're close to your family.
I'm close to my family. We're usually not that close, but I guess since they were still in Los Angeles and I hadn't acknowledged their presence. My mom's sweet. She can be a little much sometimes, but she means everything. So I know it all comes from a place of care and concern, but sometimes it gets to be like, God, Mom.
I think that's in the definition of the word mom.
I know.
So you mentioned that dreaming of a wedding and being gay before gay marriage was legal and a thing. Was it a hard thing for you growing up, speaking to your family about it?
It was a process. I think I realized that subconsciously, at least, or maybe I realized it consciously and then pushed it way down, but probably around age 5 that I had these feelings for other men. Because if you want to tell the whole story, I love telling the story. So
Sure.
I remember my dad used to take us to his basketball games, and we were little kids, and after the basketball games he would gather us up and we would wait for him in the locker room while all the other daddies were showering. And I remember just being attracted to all these other naked, hairy men, like, and I remember thinking that that's probably not the way I was supposed to feel. Like, boys are supposed to like girls, boys aren't supposed to like men. So I always switched it in my brain. I was like, when I get to be a man, I want to look like that. So that's what my idea of attraction was. And I sort of held on to that I wasn't really gay. It's just, that's what I consider to be attractive for me, and that's what I want to look like when I'm a man. And so I had actually decided in my mid-teens, because it was really starting to weigh on me, like, what that all meant. Like, I decided if I ever decide for 100% sure that I'm gay, I will just kill myself, because I didn't think it was okay. And then I think it was my freshman year of college, I had my first sexual experience with anyone, and it was with a guy. And after it happened, I said to myself, oh my God, now I have to kill myself, because I decided that's what I was going to do. And unfortunately, this happened at a party, and my sister was at the party, and I was like, oh my God, how embarrassing for my sister would it be if her brother killed himself at this party, and she had to like be there and witness all that. And, like, so I'm just not going to do that. And so I didn't kill myself.
Forgot about that.
And then I didn't really start coming out fully until it was in college. My freshman year of college, I coincidentally, my roommate was gay, but he was dyed his hair black, overweight, Depeche Mode posters and The Cure all over the wall, depressed person. And he was kind of a strange, beautiful man, but I was like, if this is gay, that's not me. And I joined a fraternity next year. So that delayed it another couple years. And then it was not until like the end of my junior year of college that I really started coming out to myself. And I came out to my brother. And then I even told some of the guys in my fraternity. And then it wasn't until a week before it was a week before my college graduation party. I told my parents the night before. And it was the worst timing, because they were like a wreck the next day, and people thought they were just emotional, but they were really like dealing with some heavy shit that they had never thought of before. Like, oh my God, our son is gay. Like, and then they joined PFLAG, and now they've been presidents of the PFLAG for like, I don't know how many years now. They've finally like grandfathered out, and they're like saying somebody else has to be president now. You've been president for too long. So they're like activists, but so yeah, it was a process.
It sounds like at the end it was a very positive experience.
It was, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't change anything. The road that you take, the experience that brings you to where you are. I mean, that's all part of who you are. So, you have to embrace it, the good and the bad.
The only thing constant is change.
Right.
So you mentioned in talking about the wedding that when you sent out the save the dates, you were surprised at how many family members flew across the country. Were you just not sure they would want to come, or were you not sure they were still on board?
I think I thought that, people would want to come to the wedding, but I thought that, I mean, we even planned it in October instead of the summer, and like, all this stuff to like hopefully. My dad is one of five, and my mom is one of six. So basically, all the aunts and uncles that are alive came to the wedding. And then there's all my cousins on top of that, and only a few of them didn't come. So, I mean, there's a huge number of family members that came to this wedding. So I was just surprised that many people would travel, hotel, airfare. I mean, it's expensive.
But do you feel a certain way about that in terms of how important that makes you to them?
Yes, and that's yes. And that's the part that touched me so much, is like, wow, they really do care about me, and they're happy for me, and they're happy for me and Al, and they're happy for us, and they want to share in that experience, and what an honor.
For people that may watch this and may be kind of struggling like you were in your teens and in your early 20s, if there was a piece of advice you could share that may make things make sense or make things easier for them, what do you think you could share?
I think it has to start with, as much as you can, you have to start loving yourself first. And ironically, that was one of the hardest parts for me, is like really getting to that place where, I came out to family and they all said it was fine and all this stuff. And I think for a long time I didn't really believe it myself. And so, this is something I've worked very hard on in therapy, and finding the right person, of course, helps in that process when, you can share love with somebody else. I think it enhances the love that you can have for yourself. Like, oh, I really am worthy of love, aren't I? This person loves me and it's genuine, and maybe I should love myself a little bit more, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So I would give them that advice, is you gotta remember to work on yourself and love yourself, and then everything else will, not everyone is going to accept it, but I think if you carry that energy with you, who's gonna, fault you for it?
And I think that applies to everyone.
I do too. Yeah.
Absolutely everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that's applicable for me. I think that's a huge message. What is something that would surprise people to know about you? I think I alluded to this before we started recording, but I think people wouldn't understand that I'm really quite a shy person, and I've worked a lot on that over the years too. But in social settings, I could be a little awkward, a little shy, a little social phobic, and I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I'm great one-on-one. And that's why I'm a great psychiatrist. I'm a great listener, but put me in in front of a large group of people and expect me to, I find that incredibly nerve-wracking. But it's also one of the most common things that people have a fear of, is like public speaking and putting yourself out there. And I think that stems from the whole confidence issues that came from growing up gay and not loving myself, and I think that's a product of that all too. Interesting. And so one last question. So if there's one thing that you would want people to know about you, like if you were just encountering someone in passing and you could have one thing that was just a sign that you held up, what would you want them to know?
That I'm a good person and they can trust me.